Wake up and I feel amazing. Wake up and I started blazing. She touching and pushing my patience. I'm ballin', I'm strapping my laces. Wake up and I feel amazing. Wake up and I started blazing. She touching and pushing my patience.
All right. So listen, kick it off. Podcast time. I don't know. It'll morph like anything else once we get used to doing it. I think it's awesome that we started doing it. We can use it for team stuff and stuff like that. But as a first one, I'm curious because I'll share like my side of it, but I want to go with you guys and see like, why is it that you guys actually want to do this? Like what individually, and you guys can start, whoever wants to start, but like, what is your motivation? I'll share mine afterwards.
I'll kick it. Honestly, like for me, because I think it was like back in, I started listening to podcasts like 2016 or something, 2016, 2017 is like when I started to kind of get my mind open to things and actually listen that there's more opportunities to it, right? And like, you know, there's a couple reasons, but the main thing, when you learn something, you should be able to teach it, because when you can teach it, that's when you know you fully understand it, right? And I think a podcast and just being able to talk and have conversations about certain things and subjects allows you to help develop yourself as a person, right? And I think that other people hearing you go through that and have those conversations, it will help them as well, because it's going to help their thought process, because that's exactly what podcast did for me, right? Because like, I don't think I'm like this crazy. I don't think I'm super smart. I know everything. Like I'm far from that. There's always things to learn. And I just like bringing people into the conversations we have, because we have great conversations off podcasts, right? Yeah. Individually with people around us, just the people we are, right? And I think, you know, getting people to tune into that and listen, I think there's just a lot of opportunity for it. And I've just always wanted to talk my mind, talk about things, my opinion on certain topics. And that's where I'm at.
Love it. I mean, we're gonna have a lot of similarities, obviously, as to why we want to do it. I think people will look at it a little bit differently than that, which is why I wanted to get into it, because like sometimes it'll be looked at as like, oh, they're just trying to do X and X, when really it has nothing to do with that kind of stuff. It's meant to kind of peel back the curtain, like have people exposed to these conversations that I don't see. I know both of you guys have mentioned that over several meetings and little hangouts that we've had. And then the knowledge, I mean, there's going to be things from life perspective, there's going to be things from a business perspective that I think people just benefit from just listening to, right? Like, oh yeah, I feel like that, you know? So that's awesome. Miss Ash.
I think for me, you know, being where I am in this role, never actually thinking I was going to be in a role like this or be a leader, mentor in the way that it's come. Sometimes not everybody takes me seriously, except for the people who work closely with us, right? Those are the only ones that I typically can have the conversations where people will take me seriously and listen. And I'm excited to start it because I actually get to have the conversations with two people who do take me seriously. So I get to be heard in several ways, which allows other people to hear that, you know what, hey, you can come out, you can hear this, you get to hear her side. How is she doing through all of this, you know, stuff like that. I've never been one to listen to podcasts. Started to now once I got into this, like got into all of this stuff with you guys, mainly because you guys listen to podcasts. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I better join the train and see what it's all about. So right now that I listen to them, I get it. And so something that can be relatable, like something that I would want to listen to would be people in the same situations as me, right? How did you get to where you are? Why are you so successful? What's the reasoning behind it? How can I relate to you? And I know, like, from my perspective, being one of the only, not the only girl anymore, but like started out as the only girl on our team, a mom, homeschooling with my kid, doing all this stuff, like an inspiration to, I guess, other moms out there, like, hey, when you find the right team, you can do all of this and then some. And I think by being able to get on a podcast with you guys and show that I can do this and I'm equal to you guys is huge. So I think,
love it.
I mean, that's kind of my
love that perspective too. I think that brings a lot of value, because like when a lot of people meet you, they don't, or any of us, they don't actually know what your journey was to get to that point. They just grab you at that point. Like that's where they bump into you, and it's almost like you just always been there.
Yeah.
Right. and all of us have challenges. Like, you know, for you to be successful in your definition of success is huge for you. That's going to resonate with a lot of people. Well, like, what is success anyways, right? Like it's showing that side where last December you didn't even know how to do a presentation, right? And now you look at what's going on in March, it's just night and day. And you didn't think you could do it, let alone like I thought you could do it, but let alone you thinking you do it. Now it's awesome seeing you start to see the things, because we talk all the time, and Jordan, you and I talk all the time. You're starting to see some things, like listen, you repeat back to me the things that you've learned and things that you're seeing now after a year together is awesome, and it's incredible. Obviously, you've been able to do that with all the family stuff going on and stuff too, right? So you two are awesome because like we're like-minded, different ages, different sexes, obviously different family situations and stuff like that. But when you find commonalities with people, it's awesome, right? And so if it can spread over that different demographic, then I think it's awesome. And so for me, this is 100% a confidence thing.
Like helping to build your confidence.
Yeah. So like I have a huge fear of public speaking. The way that I think and the persona that I give off is a constant like back and forth battle. So like for me, I asked Rob about this all the time. I want to be be able to speak really well in front of people, right? And for you guys, like for Fawad said this several times, but like for the people that I speak in front of, it's like, oh yeah, you do a good job, right? For me, I get terrified, right? Like it's one of my biggest fears. And so this is kind of like a kick yourself in the ass type of thing to take yourself outside of your comfort zone and see what you can do. And then the other piece is obviously what Jordan said too. I love the podcast. I like the exchange of information. I love the conversations. It's like sitting and watching a conversation that no one else would ever see unless you did it on a podcast. So that's a couple pieces. And from a fear perspective too, like I'm not generally a scared person, but holy shit, does talking in front of people ever knock the guts out of me? It's hilarious. So
it's like when you tried to do the video.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it today. Did you do it yet? Nah, not yet.
No. Not doing it. And I hate the way that I sound back. And so like for me to do it is crazy. Like for me to do it is just like it's almost one of those things like I could do it, I can record it, but I know the second that I start watching it, I'm gonna hate everything about it, and it's just gonna go downhill from there.
It's
so
I'm honestly like this. I'm the same way with that. Like when it was like when we came into this business, right? Like especially when I joined, it was all about record your presentation, like send it to the manager so they can watch, but also watch it and learn from yourself. And every time when I hear myself talk, it's like I sound like that. Why do I sound like that?
I sound like an idiot.
I just
That's
get in
what
my
I think.
head.
It's
Right?
an out of body experience. Like when you watch yourself recorded, it's an out of body experience. When I hear myself, I have this high pitched squeaky voice. But like when I'm talking right now, I sound normal, and I'm just like, what? There's no way that that's me. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
it's not how I sound.
It's crazy. It's crazy the difference. I guess obviously since the three of us feel the exact same way, it's not just a me thing, but it's incredible on how I think I sound with you guys right now. And then when it comes back the other way, how I'm going to actually hear myself sound at the time.
Yeah.
But so that's good. So do you guys have any, like, obviously from you know, the reasons why you want to do it, we'll get a lot of stuff accomplished there, but is there anything like, this is literally one of those for me, like steps out of my comfort zone, expose myself. Like I don't like being in the spotlight. I don't like accepting awards. Everything that we've done is team based. And so like for me, it's not necessarily stepping into a spotlight, so to speak, but it's definitely putting a spotlight a little bit more that I'm comfortable about. So is there anything for you guys that you're looking to accomplish through doing this, other than obviously what we just talked about?
For me, it's like I like I used to be very active on social media, and then over time, like once you start to, I don't know if mature is the right word, but you start to want to be more independent, I guess. And I found I stopped posting as much. Like I would post like anything, man. I was just very immature. I'd say anything, put it up, and I find ever since like I moved to Ontario, so like really like, well, I'd say when I moved to Toronto, so about like 3 years ago, I started to be more like cautious of what I put out. And I think even if I was to record, and like how bad I want to record a podcast, if I was to just record audios of myself talking, I feel like I would hold myself back from actually putting them out. So having you guys and actually doing this together, because like me and Ashley have been talking about it for like 6-7 months. We wanted to start a morning podcast, and then when our conversation came, and Dan, you wanted to do it too, it was like, well, for me, it's like perfect. Now I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to
That's
feel
it,
like,
right?
you know, because I probably won't do it. So for me, it's actually moving me towards that next step, because I want to be more active on social media. I want to talk on my Instagram stories and share my opinions there too. And I think this is the first step that I need to actually make that happen, because now the conversations are going to be out there. So people are going to hear my voice. So I'm going to have, again, more of a confidence factor, like you were saying. I'm going to build that confidence to public speak, talk in front of people, post more on social media, and actually share my opinion.
Good stuff.
It's definitely that. Like, so I went for a walk this morning, 5:30. I got up, and like I wasn't going to. Like it's cold. It's like -13, feels like -18. I did not want to go outside. It's supposed to be +16 on the weekend. That's what I thought it was going to be when I woke up. I made a commitment to somebody in the community that I was going to go for a walk with them. Let me tell you, Ray had quite the time getting me out of bed this morning. He's like, "You're committed to this. Get up." And I was like, "I don't want to."
Ray is awesome for that though, eh?
He's fantastic. Like he made sure I got up. So I ended up going and meeting this girl, and we got to talking, and she says to me, "Why did you want to do this?" And I said, "Because sometimes you just have to wake up and you have to do the things you don't want to do." And she's like, that's very true. And then she got to telling me why she wanted to do it. And the more we talked, like it just came out, like, you know, we're the first person to give up on ourselves. We let ourselves down on a regular basis, and we don't hold ourselves, like so many people don't hold themselves accountable. Like Jordan, we've been talking about getting up and running, but the weather's cold, and so we're like, nope, we're not doing it. It's too cold right now. It's too cold, right? So we're the first person to give up on ourselves. But when you have somebody there holding you accountable for something or committing to something with you, makes it a lot easier. I have the same thing, fear of public speaking. I don't like doing the videos on my Instagram. I don't like taking videos of myself, pictures of myself. If it's not the right angle, the right this, and it's not social media worthy, like we're not doing it. It's not happening. But to do this with you guys, and same idea, just get it out there. It's going to open up a lot of doors for us in a lot of different ways, personal growth, right? Being able to talk and get it out there. And that's just it. Raw footage. Social media is so full of
highlights.
And what you said, Ash, like the right angles, like
right,
that's
it has to be perfection,
filtered and angled, and
but that's not life. When you walk down the street, somebody's not filtered. You don't get to like pop an Instagram filter or a Snapchat filter on your face and walk around with puppy dog ears and a nose. Like that's not how life works. So if we start
getting more puppy dogs,
right? But if you start getting comfortable in the things that you're uncomfortable in, or posting real raw stuff, more people can relate, and maybe we can get away from, you know, this image of perfection everywhere. Everybody has work that they need to do with themselves. Not everybody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. So we've all got to look.
And I think too, that's a lot of the reason why on our team we have such a close team, is because like even through the recruiting process, like it's hard to get that one-on-one, but I try as much to be the same person, and I've spent time with you guys, so I try as much to be the same person here as I am there, as I am at work, as I am if we're hanging out one-on-one, with obviously a couple filters taken out. Obviously, I can only be so raw in a professional environment before you lose that. But I still try to be the same person I am everywhere all the time, because it's one of the reasons why honestly I don't like social media. I hate it. Like I'm not the type of person that really enjoys any of that stuff. And you gotta I understand from the other side. I didn't at first. I hated social media. I used to make fun of everybody for it. But you know, you can use it as a tool for business. But then also, you know, it can be a highlight in a positive way rather than just a negative way too. And so when I started looking at it from both sides, then I'm like, oh, okay, sometimes it'll give people, if it gives people a little bit of a boost to post all the good stuff, then it's not necessarily as terrible as Dan made it out from the beginning. Because I'm literally, I was like an anti-vaxxers. You have anti-vaxxers. I was anti-social media for the first little bit. Like, I don't even want to talk about it.
We're gonna get flagged now because you said that word.
Yeah.
We'll just, the good thing we got editors, we'll just bleep it out.
Yeah, beep.
No,
Sorry, internet froze.
We'll put it all over the place. If we get torched on the first episode on me saying anti-vaxxers, then we're gonna get torched.
I'm down for it.
Sure. I'm sure we're gonna get some deeper conversations on that shit. So I love one of the things you brought up, because we want to get a little bit of business stuff in this as well, but like more so than like, hey, this person did 1,000 LP. Ashley talked about something like hard to get up or something like that. And I have this idea of a lot of people, and they hold them back, not necessarily because of motivation, not necessarily because they don't actually want to do it. It's because they talk in wants and they don't plan how to get where they want to go effectively. Like, it's all well and good to say, and this is an extreme example, but it's like, I'm gonna, the idea of jumping off of a house, for example, seems like a great idea, right? But if you're not thinking about what happens when you land, or how you're gonna get up there, or all that kind of stuff, it kind of goes south. But like, especially for things that we don't want to do, like, there's a lot. Life is all the things that you don't want to do. Like, like if we had to choose what we want, we'd have 3 things that we'd be doing all the time. You'd basically living in university for the rest of your life, right? With kids and a wife or a husband added to that, and some version of that, right? But I think people talk a lot in the wants, and they don't plan effectively, right? So if you don't plan effectively, obviously you guarantee you're going to fail. So what do you guys think? Because we run into that a lot in business, where people have the best of intentions starting out at the beginning of the week, whatever activity we're talking about, and they talk the game, and I feel like in the head, up until a certain point, they believe that they're actually going to go do X that they said they're going to do, and then they just fall off. They just lose the motivation. Let's go to the south. So
I think there's definitely a combination of things, but like, obviously the first thing is to have that belief that you can do it, get hyped up. That's awesome, right? But and like you said, the next step after that is, okay, you got to plan it. You got to figure out what you have to do. And for an example, in our business specifically, it's all based off systems and numbers, right? So even if you relate back to what James Clear says in Atomic Habits, he says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the strength of your system.
I love it.
Right. And not only that though, but having the ability to stay disciplined to that system is the most important part. Because if you're not disciplined to the system, you're not going to get the result. Then the system, again, you fall to the strength of the system, but that also relies on the strength of your discipline, right?
So Jordy, would you say that concept of thinking of something to do, having the best of intentions to do it, but not doing it, would you think that's like more of a discipline thing than anything else? Or maybe it's a knowledge thing on how to get a system or how to use a system or something like that?
I think, both. I think, you need the knowledge of it first, because if you don't know that discipline is important, you're not going to stick to it, right? If you don't know what discipline can do for you. But if you don't have like a system, there's nothing to stay disciplined to, right? So the first, you need knowledge on the importance of a system and lay that system out and what it actually looks like. And the easiest way to do it is go find someone else who's already done it and get them to teach you the system.
The copy. I love the copy. People,
right? Even if it's but even if it's like a different industry, like there's always things you can relate. If someone did something very similar to what you want to do, figure out what they did and use that pieces of it, put it together, and then find the other parts, whether it's from other people or on your own, trial and error, take risks, make mistakes. Eventually you'll find that perfect system to be able to follow. That gets you to that result.
I think you nail it, because you literally can peel anything apart at a 10,000 foot level and apply it to the thing that you're doing. Like, you gotta take the bits, obviously. Like, we can't follow Jeff Bezos exactly blueprint, because it's a whole different business, a whole different thing. But there's definitely pieces at 10,000 feet that you can pick out and apply to everything. I'm just using Jeff Bezos as an example because I just got Amazon package, but I think you guys know what I mean. Yeah. So from you, Ash, like you have, like you probably have to have the most discipline, or at least very high up there, to be able to accomplish all the things that you do on a daily basis. And you seem to have more energy in the tank and more time than everybody else combined. So like, what pieces of discipline do you use to keep your days rolling?
I mean, it's funny that you say that because I'm probably the least disciplined person when it comes to anything. However, if I absolutely love something, I'm fixated on it. I'm hooked. Like you got to peel me away. You guys have all learned that since I started in this career, peeling me out of my office is like pulling teeth.
It's not.
Like it like I don't ever want to leave. And the reason I'm so disciplined and dedicated in this is because I love it. If I didn't love this, you guys wouldn't see me near as much as you did. So for me, it's I guess it's more about what stuff I'm passionate about. So in this aspect, I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about what we do, the time spent, you know, really creating the culture that we have with work and stuff like that. So I do that stuff. And I also believe that, you know, I believe in what I believe. Like I homeschool Chance for a reason because, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the school systems. So I found a way to make that work. Now, huge credit to my mother-in-law and my mom, because if it wasn't for them, you know, I'd struggle a lot more with having to fit a lot more into my day. But it also comes with the support system I have, right? Like I have, you guys all know Ray. He's probably the most supportive husband out there with the amount of stuff he deals with me. So
He knows more about our business than most people in our business.
Right,
He doesn't even work here.
We're still kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Like, listen, every day I feel like we get a little closer, but then he takes a step back. But you know, it's people get scared of change, right? And so when you've done something the same way your whole life, and then you're gonna switch to something that's polar opposite, like Dan, it'd be like you going out and becoming a mechanic. Like,
I'm good with cars.
you're good. But like mechanic and okay, fine, going and operating an excavator or a dozer, right? You want to go digging dirt? Listen, you're a better talker. That's your alley. Jordan,
Allegedly.
Well, I think you are.
We'll see as it works out in the wash.
But for me, it's people holding me accountable, right? Like 6:30 in the morning, starting that with Jordan. Like Jordan and I both agree, like we can't start our day without our 6:30 calls. We've tried.
See, that's awesome because literally the only person I've ever met that has the same, other than you two, that have the same like early morning habits and stuff like that is Rob. Literally ever. There's not one other person. And listen, it was completely by fluke. We met in university. So like the context in which we met was not the situation we're in now. But it's not like all of a sudden he decided to start having the same habits as I did, right? And then, you know, throughout our life, obviously we spent less time together when I moved in another direction for a little bit. But we still had phone calls several times a week at the same time. Like he's still at the gym at the same time that I'm working out or at the gym. And when you find like somebody on that, like it's the early morning thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because it takes like discipline to do that in the beginning because it sucks. Like it's not fun getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And I didn't start getting up at 4:30 in the morning all at once. But it's like minds, I guess. Like minds think alike. But if you start doing that kind of stuff, well, everything else seems to get easy, at least my opinion, right? Like when I started going from 6:30 to 4:30, and it's because of that book or some kind of thing, because I'm a YouTube addict too. Like if people that are successful get up earlier, right? So if that's one of the things, then I'll just get up earlier and we'll see how that works out. But there's not a magic pill, but it created so much time in my day that it's crazy. Like I can have 2 days in one day, right? And all I have to manage is my energy throughout the day, but I still created the time. So at least I have the time now. I'm not running out of time, right? And so it's neat to run into people that are discovering it. Like you guys are coming into it, and like that like-mindedness, like I said, is very rare. So I don't understand how people get up at 8 p.m.
You feel like shit. Anything 100%. Like for me now, anything past 7. Like if I sleep, if I'm up till 2 in the morning, if I wake up at 7, I feel more tired than if I woke up at like 6 or 5:30.
I mean, three glasses of the good juice in and laying on the floor talking to cats, and he was till 2 in the
Oh, yeah.
morning. He was still up at 7. I mean, he comes and spends a weekend here, and it didn't matter. I mean, like,
Listen,
I'm the same way. I can't sleep in. Like, I was up and all right, let's go. It's time.
yeah.
I have a one of the hardest parts of my personality is to soften up. I've run into it in a lot of parts of my life. There's only a couple areas that I was always kind of like softer in, but like I have a really hard time with people that have that say they have like no time or I'm rushed or I'm stressed or any of that stuff, and it's time related
Mm.
because you can literally just set the alarm earlier. Like it's literally almost the easiest of things to do. Now, don't get me wrong, it's hard to get up when you first do it, like earlier and earlier and earlier.
Oh,
But
for sure.
Jesus, it's and I have a hard time not being savage about it because like obviously if you get up earlier, if you do something, it's going to be hard in the beginning, right? Like why does everything have to be easy for everybody? That's one of the crazy parts about it, right?
That's definitely things that like I run into that. Ray will ask me if I did something. I'll be like, I ran out of time. He goes, but did you, or did you get sucked into what you were doing that you didn't make time for it? And that's what it comes down to, because we have so much time in a day. It's time management. If you can't manage your time, then how are you actually going to get anywhere? Like there are days I have to remember, hey, you've been on the computer since 6:30. You had your morning chat with Jordan, then you did your call room and you did all this. Time to go eat breakfast before you crash and burn. Like I have to make sure that I'm putting that stuff into my time management because I'll forget. Throw it right out the
Yeah,
window.
forgetting to eat. I noticed that's the thing about working out early too, though. Like my body reminds me like so hard if I don't eat, because then I just start to tank. Literally, my brain starts going, taking off vacation. My thoughts aren't. I'm not ripping through like ideas and stuff because we have a lot of stuff coming at us, right? So
Mhm.
like I'm not ripping through emails and texts and all that kind of stuff. I just literally start to slow down. I'm like, oh shit, I'm running out of fuel. And it's again like 10:30 in the morning. So it's not like the end of the day is coming anytime soon, right?
That's definitely on my walk this morning. The girl I went with, she was talking to me about something, and it makes sense. You ever notice when you get up really early in the morning, especially if you get that fresh air in early in the morning, either you go for a walk or you go for a run, you come back and you have so much energy for the day. Like you're
So
just like so much. Well, she brought something up to me. She goes, there's a few things that we need to do in just every day for our bodies and for health and everything. She goes, you need to sweat at least once a day because it like you need to take in your water, you need to eat healthy, you need to move, you need to get fresh air, and you need to sweat because it's how your body cleanses things, right? We eat all these things, and if we're not drinking enough water, then we lose hydration in our bodies. So we can't sweat that way, but we sweat out toxins. She goes, the earth does the same thing. When we go to sleep at night and everything shuts down, it's less polluted. She goes, and then the earth does a natural cleanse. So when you get up early in the morning and you're walking outside first thing, she goes, you're breathing in the freshest air you could possibly breathe in because it's right after a cleanse. And she goes, it's different. You'll notice it if you do it in the afternoon, middle of the day versus first thing in the morning. She goes, you'll notice the difference. And I never paid attention to it until she mentioned it, that yeah, first thing in the morning, like going for a walk, 5 o'clock in the morning, you come back in.
100%. I definitely agree. Obviously, feel good doing anything in the morning that involves like movement and not just like slugging around. Like if you have a morning where you don't do anything and just sit around, get up at the same time versus when you get up and actually go do something, whether it's a walk, workout, anything that's active, the energy that you have when you come back or you finish doing that is unreal.
Mhm.
But like that sounds like partially really good info and partially like
It was just,
like
it was
some
one
like
of those
hippie
things.
rock deodorant stuff. Not gonna lie.
I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe the rock deodorant works. It all depends on your body
Oh,
chemistry.
it does. Just depends on what your definition of work is.
Then there's that. I mean, there's some people that don't believe in deodorant at all if you really want to go down that road.
Oh, yeah.
We can. I mean, it just depends on your level of comfortability with stinking. And we'll make up words here. Like I love the term natural smell. Like that just means you smell bad. Like that just
Yeah.
no one really wants to smell like they smell. You
Yeah.
know? Like
Unless they're trying
that's a
to
rough
just,
spot.
unless they don't like people, they don't want people around them.
I mean, it is
It's
a
a very good
natural
repellent.
repellent.
Yeah.
So it is natural. Oh, natural repellent,
I think
maybe.
repellent being the key word. Like nobody wants to be around someone that's stank. One of the worst things from being in the field is because I used to smoke cigarettes, right? So I vape. I just don't smoke cigarettes. Not that it's good or bad or anything, but one of the worst things is because I had hand sanitizer, I had gum, like all kinds of people were just surprised that I even smoke because I never smelled like it. But the smell, like if you pick up like a bad breath or BO or something like that, like it actually changes the way that I feel about the person a little bit. Like it actually makes me not want to do presentations or have conversations with certain people. So virtuals always helped a lot with that, right?
I would imagine. I can't imagine having to go door to door in the homes and you run into those people, or you even have those agents who, forgot to put their deodorant on for the day and they're super nervous and they're sweating like crazy.
And there's stuff in your car, so your car smells like friggin'
Or didn't brush their teeth and they've got like spinach and everything stuck, plus the odor that's coming. I would imagine that would be an interesting
yeah, it's interesting.
experience.
It's,
I'm glad I entered the world when it was virtual. That would be an
interesting
issue.
level. It's an extra layer that you got to deal with when you're in front of people too, and the fact that there's a lot of homes. It's not everybody, but holy crap, people definitely dress up to leave the house. And when you go into their house, like you're literally going into their world. And the hoarders and the homes that I've been in, it's just I've stuck to probably so more chairs than I've ever owned for sure. And it's not because of me either. Like I would take the blame, but yeah, like it was definitely an extra layer onto the whole thing.
Takes all kinds to make the world go round.
So for you guys individually, let's get a victory for this week from a business perspective. So we have an opportunity. It doesn't have to be production related. Like what is something that came in this week that you're the most proud of from your team from a business perspective?
I'm getting my first agent released on my team. Hopefully today. I'm praying. But yeah, that's one thing. I mean, fully trained agent license came in, made sales on their own. It's an amazing feeling to say the least. It's something we've been working towards for a while, and there, with the delays and everything going on, and now finally it's the team's starting to grow and it feels awesome. That's my victory for the week.
That's gotta be.
On my end, it's huge. I've got a list. I've got our Wales to sales baby guy who's dropped a sale a day every day he's worked. He's hit his goals for the goals we set out for the week. He hasn't hit his own goals yet. He's still pushing, but the knowledge and stuff that Chad's brought to the team and just how we're going to be able to implement some of those things and like all his different skill sets are going to be massive turning points. We've got another Juanita just got her license in. That's finally here. So we get to get her up and rolling. We released another agent. We released Danny.
Danny just got released.
Yeah, Danny just had his release meeting. He's good to go. And we've got big sales. Stephanie's, she's big in the referral game and she's killing it there. She's 7 generations deep and still going. The victories are there's quite a long list on my team for the week.
That's crazy. And we know with this podcast, you're just gonna take a one victory and turn it into 74.
Yep.
But we're all gonna do certain things. I like obviously it seems like there's a different vibe. It's a different team like this week almost.
I would agree.
But if I had to pick a victory, someone like Stephanie is amazing because obviously you have the stress of it being new, and then the licensing part of it where referral chain letter into an area that she didn't have a license, but the work that she continues to put in is incredible. So it's hard for new people to see that, but when you see something like that and then you see so many other new people that come in or experienced people, they can't even put up half the amount of dials as a new person, And even though they're getting more results because they're more experienced or something like that, I love, that's a victory to me because that kind of buy-in, that kind of work ethic is going to do her really well. And then personality wise, obviously she's awesome,
Mhm.
awesome too. So that would be my one little victory. I like to look at a little bit more nuanced victories, like a little bit of the stuff that's maybe underneath the surface. Chad's huge though, like, but that Chad's someone who's going to teach you a lot of the stuff that I've known. Like, if you're not looking for what you can learn from the amount of people we meet is huge. And
Yep.
so if you're not trying to learn something or pick something up from most of the people that we run into, I think we're losing, all around on that. And, Chad's a prime example of somebody that comes in with a wealth of experience. So he's new as far as our company goes, but that doesn't mean he's new in the world. Doesn't mean he has stuff that can't be immediately taken and transformed into valuable things for the rest of the team, which obviously we're kicking off now. But him being here for 2 weeks, it's just, that's somebody that has that experience. Like, why not have a conversation with him? Why not try to pick his brain in that area, right?
For sure.
Victories for the week. All right, so the fun part, and to finish it off so we're not dragging it too long, and then we can get the recording back and see how fucking dog shit we did.
This
Sorry,
is awesome.
guys,
It's good.
podcast launch delayed. We didn't like that one.
Someone jump on Google and pick a current event. Just Google current events.
Current events.
I mean, I feel
World
like
news. Let's see what they got here. We got.
Ukraine,
I don't know.
Coronavirus,
I don't
and
know if I
then
wanna talk about
someone
this.
got hit with a cow or something like that.
Yeah.
someone
pretty
got hit
much.
by a cow.
Well, the headline for this one says dozens killed in blast at Shia Mosque in Pakistan's Peshawar.
Here, let's talk about
Probably
this one.
said
It's a
all
little
that
more
wrong.
funny.
Yeah, please
Cali-
do something more pleasant.
California woman arrested for allegedly faking her 2016 kidnapping. The amount of effort it would take to fake your own kidnapping for that long.
And it's fucking 6 years later. Like, no one gave a fuck. Like, if they can't find you in 2016, nobody cares. That's one of those type of situations. I feel
Right?
bad
Like
for saying
major
it.
media attention. She got major media attention.
Now she famous.
Oh, she's famous, all right. And like she wasn't, it's not even like she was a missing kid. She was just a missing woman who posted her own photos and everything everywhere, basically saying she was missing from the looks of it. Like,
That is crazy.
And there's that.
Yeah, she was arrested for
This is
charges.
and then there's that section of the podcast. So I think
And
Jordan just
and
named
then
it.
there's that.
Yeah. And so if you like, at what point in time do you go from like reporting yourself missing, basically, which is what you're saying, to realizing that nobody gives a shit? And it took them 6 years to even post this story, because this should be like a lot shorter timeline in my mind.
I mean, this here, right, should tell you, she claimed that she'd been abducted and held against her will at gunpoint by 2 Hispanic women. But as authorities dug into the case, they came to believe that she had made up the story, and they concluded that she was allegedly been staying with an ex-boyfriend and had injured herself to bolster her own false narrative.
Wow, does it say what the injury was?
It doesn't. But, I mean, come on.
Judging by that type of mentality, she probably stubbed her toe or something and then went into the hospital.
I mean, she made it to the Rolling Stones, so...
Jesus. That is just, that's next level. That is, my brain is stuck on the level of no fucks that were given that she was gone.
And then there's that.
That's great. That's great. Let's do another one. That was funny.
You want other current event? You realize
Yeah, the
the
funny
world
ones
we
though.
live
Like,
in,
then
right?
there's that section should be like crazy shit that happened.
I mean, everything else is pretty depressing in the world these days, but that was a pretty funny one.
That's fine.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to kick off a serious topic, we should probably give it the benefit of having the whole time, right?
Yeah, because otherwise we could get into this for a whole another hour. I don't think.
Yeah, well, like if we're gonna cover a topic, like we need to kick it off and it'll point us in the right direction. What other
Yeah.
pick another crazy one.
False news. Do we want false news of the day?
No, there's enough of
There's
that in
too
the real
much of
news.
that going on. Just go to CNN.
CNN will tell you all kinds.
I just don't know when news got to be worse than TMZ. You know what I mean? Like nobody argues. There's no two sides that argue over Justin Bieber going to a concert. But every other thing, there's 13 different versions of what happened, and it was just a thing that happened. So like, when did that become not what we wanted to hear? Like just what happened?
Right? I mean, it's definitely one of those things. Jordan, what you got? Because I'm all out. That was the
Listen. The first mooning ever in history. All right. The first mooning in recorded history was 66 AD, where a Roman soldier mooned the Jewish pilgrims. And this caused a riot. An over response by the Roman military, and there was deaths of thousands of people just because of the guy mooned them.
Over a butt.
ass.
There's that.
There is that over
There's
a
that.
butt. And that was in 1800s.
That was 66 AD,
Oh,
whatever that is.
That's
That's not
I
even
don't
the
know
same
those
thing.
terms, but
pretty sure
Af-
dinosaurs were still here at that point.
So they have clubs and spears and shit, and they're running around stabbing each other, and someone just decides to pull it. Like, didn't they see
apparently.
everybody's asses a lot in 66 AD? Like, wasn't that a common sight? It's just how he did it, I guess.
Yeah, I
don't
guess
even
so.
know. That's the world we live in
That's
today.
hilarious.
That's the world we live in, and that is that. So I think at about a half hour of jumbleness, we could probably call the first one in the books, and then from there we'll game plan and see what we're gonna do on number 2 next week, and see what we like, see what we don't like, and stuff like that.
It's one of those stay tuned on, and then there's that.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, and then there's that. All right, great convo, and stop recording.